Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to another video. Now today we are doing the Matt SB podcast, probably the first episode in a series, and I'm joined by Lee FC. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Well, not great after Coventry's most recent result, but we'll get into that. Let's start with that then. So Coventry City lost in midweek to Norwich. Did you see any of the game?
I didn't, mate, no, unfortunately, but I was following your live stream, so I was up to date with what was going on during the game, and all things considered, not in a great position now.
No, honestly, it's looking bad, isn't it? The last few results haven't been good, and the tougher games just keep coming. We've got Brentford tomorrow, Swansea in midweek, and what's your thoughts on Coventry as the position we're in the table? Do you think we can get out of this, or do you think it's going to be very tight?
I think not that Coventry can discard kind of their next three fixtures, because obviously they're all so tough. But I think if Coventry are going to stay up, March is going to be the key month, because we're playing teams like Wycombe and they're and Rotherham as well. They're really must-win games, I think. And so I think March will be really the defining tell. I think whether or not Cov will be scrapping really hard in the relegation places come April and start of May.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, honestly. February was almost a bit of a write-off with considering the fixtures we had. At least we're halfway through it now, and at least we're still above the dotted line. But like you say, with these next few fixtures coming up, if we don't win any of them, which is probably likely considering how hard they are, we might fall into the bottom three. But that March fixture list, like you said, we've got Rotherham, Wycombe. It's make or break, isn't it, March?
Oh yeah, definitely. As you said, March is make or break for Coventry, and that's the sad thing is as well. You see a lot of fans online calling for, go and sack Robbins. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I've seen someone make an interesting point in that, and I think I'd agree with it. Is that I'd rather go back down and still have Mark Robbins in League One rather than lose him and go down, because if you think about it, who's going to replace him?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He knows the club like the back of his hand. When a manager's been at a club for, I don't know, what's he been here now, 4 years, they'll know everything about the club. And the thing is with Coventry City, there's so many details to know about the club, because of the amount of problems we have off the pitch. He knows the club very well. It's his second spell here as well. And he knows League One as well. He got promoted last time. And you can't really blame him for the position we're in. We've got a very small budget. We've had a lot of injuries. I think even if we finish 21st and just survive by one place, we've had a good season.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. Like you said, injuries just really seems to have cost us this season. I think at the start of the season, a lot of Cov fans were really looking forward to seeing Tyler Walker, to see how he'd do in the Championship, and we've not really seen much of him at all. It's just been, like you said, like Godden was playing well at one point, and then he got injured, and so I think it's just like, I think if Coventry really had that number 9, then maybe it'd be a different story. I'm not too sure, but just can't seem to find the back of the net at the moment. That's just such a big issue. And in Championship, if you don't, or in any league for that matter, if you don't score goals, you're not going to stay up.
Couldn't agree more. You put it perfectly. I think Coventry City up until the final third are not a bad team whatsoever. The defence of the field, they're all right most of the time. But like you say, we just don't have the players to put the ball in the back of the net. It seems to always be straight down the keeper's throat or wide or something. So we need to practice the shooting. But if you look at the Championship as a whole, that relegation battle, there's so many teams involved. And I think other than Wycombe, it's all up for grabs maybe.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think you see it more or less every single season. Like the gap between some teams, like normally like with the playoffs as well. Like a team in 13th or 12th with maybe 3 weeks to go, you'd still consider them within the playoff shouts. Like you can't write anything off in the Championship, and so Coventry could probably still finish mid-table depending on form. But.
A late charge towards the playoffs.
I wouldn't be too optimistic, but like you say, like you never really know with the Championship. It's such it's such a good league to watch and to follow as well. I know the Premier League's kind of like the be all and end all for a lot of fans, but like if you support your local club and you know what it's like to go to a what it's like in a Championship season, you just get so involved with it. And like you said, just teams can just really float up and down as much as possible. And I still think within like it won't go. I don't think it will go down until the final couple of match weeks. I really don't think we'll be. I think Coventry will definitely suffer. Like I said, over the next coming weeks, and maybe in March and April. But I don't think relegation will be really decided until those final couple of weeks.
Yeah, it will come down to May. It will be very close, to be honest. And the same at the top end of the Championship. Like you say, you've got so many teams bunched around the playoffs, and then the chase for the top two, I think it's great. You've got Norwich, Swansea, Brentford, and even Watford are still in there, and it's going to be interesting to see how that finishes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more with that one. I think Watford at the moment, they're kind of like charging at more of a pace than the others, I'd like to think.
They won 6-0 the other week.
Yeah, I know. Big result. And I think just at times like they've been getting these little 1-0 wins under their belt. And I think, it's like when you used to see it with the old Man United team under Alex Ferguson, it's like it was just 1-0 wins like every time towards a title. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, goal and injury time. And I think that's what Watford are doing at the moment. They're just kind of scraping out these 1-0 results. And I definitely think we'll see them at the top end of the table come the end of the season. But teams like Brentford, you could argue playing, as good as football as we've seen from them in the Championship. Tony has been a revelation up front. No one really knew how he'd do this season, losing Ollie Watkins. But yeah, he's been absolutely on fire, and that's credit to the manager as well.
Exactly that. So if we move towards the midweek results just gone, we had a bit of Premier League action. Manchester City won 3-1 at Everton. The title's looking like it's going to the Etihad, doesn't it? It's gone.
For me, it's gone already. They're 10 points clear over Man United. 10. I think 2 weeks ago, they were only 5 points, 3 points clear. And I think a couple of weeks before that, United were above them. And so, just City are just a machine. When they get in that rhythm of just winning games relentlessly, there's no stopping them. And obviously, Liverpool's poor form has played a massive part in it. But like you say, if you go to Anfield and dismantle Liverpool 4-1 away from home, you really are making a statement for the title. Yeah, I can't see Man United. I can just see Man United dropping more points towards the end of the season. And whether or not obviously Leicester there or thereabouts, but I don't think Leicester's just at times, I think, against some of the lower teams as well. So sometimes they just tend to drop points, and I can just see City going on relentlessly. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if City didn't lose a game for the end until the end of the season.
Yeah, no, once again, couldn't agree more. I think Man City are just in that kind of form where the title's theirs. We've seen it before. City have won the title a few years now, and they're just in that rhythm, aren't they? And all the circumstances have come together. Liverpool falling apart, United have had a bad run, and City, 14 or 15 wins on the bounce? Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's just no catching them now. I mean, they could probably get away with 2 or 3 defeats, but they're not going to even do that because they're just so efficient right now. I think they're just going to charge for the title, and they could even have a 15 or 20 point gap from the end of the season.
Yeah, as I said, I wouldn't put anything past them at this point. Obviously, I think maybe if a few more injuries came their way, maybe if Diaz got injured, but then they've still got Laporte back up. For me as well, I know everyone's going on about Diaz, but John Stones has been equally as good, I think. Just when I've watched him, he does everything right. In the Liverpool game, obviously Diaz got criticised for giving away the penalty for Salah. But John Stones in the rest of the game, he was just faultless. He didn't do anything wrong. His passing was immaculate. Defended when he needed to, clearing the ball, not taking any chances. Fantastic defensive player this season. Definitely. I'm not sure if he'll be within a shout for PFA Player of the Year, but I'd have him there because his transformation, since being out of the side and coming back in, has been extraordinary. But like you say, maybe if City have a couple of injuries, but even then, they've had De Bruyne out injured for the last few games, and Gundogan stepped up massively and has been scoring the goals. I think it's 9 in his last 8 or something, like some crazy stat like that. So yeah, definitely. Do you fancy City then?
Oh yeah, easy. And I'd agree with what you said about John Stones. Probably England's best centre back at the moment. I think you put him alongside maybe Harry Maguire, who's been decent this year as well. That's England's two centre backs realistically going into the Euros or World Cup or whatever's coming next. But yeah, Man City just so efficient, and the squad depth, like you say, you know, they can afford to miss a couple of players because they've got three fantastic centre backs. They've got De Bruyne and Gundogan in the middle, and you know they haven't really got a striker this season. They're just making do with goals from midfield. Who'd have thought with Aguero out that they'd be so good? And it's the first time they've looked this good since Company left. I think when Vincent Company left them, they lost that. They lost a bit of passion. They lost a leader, but they've really bounced back this season. The credit's got to go to Guardiola. We'll move on to the other result on the Wednesday in the Premier League. It was Fulham 1, Burnley 1, or the other way around actually, because it was at Burnley. Is the relegation battle still open down there, or do you think the three teams are cut adrift?
I think if any of them are going to do it, it's going to be Fulham because of the way they play football. But that gap is just getting too big. You know, Burnley and Brighton just seem to have hit form at the right time as well, and are really starting to pull away. You know, could anyone else drop in there? Maybe like a Newcastle or someone. I think we'll have to see nearer the time. But yeah, it just looks like it's going to be too much. Obviously, I think we know Sheffield United. They're kind of beaten down there almost, if you like. And West Brom, I just don't think their squad's strong enough. I do like their new centre forward though. I must say he's going to get them a few goals this season, I think. But like you said, the rest of the squad, they're not really Premier League players. You know, it's like they're a lot of Championship players. I've got to say. And so it's just that lack of Premier League experience that comes with it. And yeah, I don't fancy them. But as I said, if anyone's going to stay up, it'll be Fulham. But even that's quite a tall order. It's such a big ask at the moment. And I think they've still got some really tough fixtures to come the end of the season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's a bit of a shame because I always like to see a good relegation battle, but it does look like there's a big gap. And you could put that down to Brighton and Burnley picking up some unlikely results lately. They both went to Anfield and won. But Sheffield United, things are looking desperate. They're good battlers, but the quality is not there, is it? And West Brom,
no.
Their goal difference is horrific. It says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fulham could get out of it, but they'd need someone above them to go on a bad run. And very interestingly, the team that's just above them, Newcastle, they play them on the final day. So if they can get to within 3 points of them on the final day, that could be an interesting game on the final day.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. Like you said, yeah, it just depends how everything else is going to play out. You know, if Fulham just kind of keep climbing, then you really can't rule them out, because at times, you know, for myself as a Chelsea fan, you know, when we went and played them and we only won 1-0, you know, it's like you can see the football they play. You know, they've got top players all around the pitch, and I just think some of those players they've got in the squad, they're almost too good to go down. It's like we were saying that about a couple of teams that have gone down in the past. You know, it's like some teams were too good to go down. You think, how did that team go down? And yeah, could it be the story for Fulham as well? Who knows?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Have you watched much of the European football this week?
I have, absolutely. Yes, I've absolutely loved it. I guess we'll get things cracking on with the Champions League. So Barcelona 1, PSG 4. What are your thoughts, Matt?
I tell you what, Mbappe, what a performance from him. He's looking very, very good. I only saw the highlights, but that was all I needed to see. They just tore him apart. And Barcelona, I remember growing up thinking Barcelona are one of the 2 or 3 biggest clubs in Europe, but they just don't seem to get very far in the Champions League anymore. And what a statement that is from PSG. They took the game to them, didn't they?
Oh yeah, definitely. You could see it from in the first, you know, Barca had a little bit of a spell for the first 10-15 minutes, but from there it was all PSG. And I don't think even the highlights did justice to the PSG performance, because it was unbelievable. And you really have to credit Pochettino for that one, because the way he set the team up, you know, I thought Verratti was unbelievable in midfield. Honestly, incredible performance from him. But like you said, Mbappe was the star of the show. Dest, Barcelona's new right back, he couldn't get near Mbappe. You know, I think Piqué was over that side as well, and Piqué couldn't deal with him. But to be fair to Piqué, he'd just come back from an injury. So like you say, Barca just really, they're falling down, and there's no signs of coming back up essentially. And for me, I think the way, I think as well, the fact that they have to play Paris at home now as well, and if PSG humiliate them the way they did again, I think that's Messi gone for sure.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Barcelona's one of their greatest nights in Europe was a comeback against PSG. They can't do it this time, can they?
No, absolutely not. They haven't got the players. You'd think the big players would step up on a night like that. Messi was just kind of, he just walks around the pitch. Like, I think he walks more than he runs nowadays around the pitch. And, you see it a couple of times in transitions where, he might have just lost the ball. His immediate response is just to kind of walk. I think that will kind of bother Ronald Koeman. But at the same time, it's because, it's Messi. He can almost get away with it if you like. You and me, ourselves, at like a Sunday, Saturday league level. Like, if you're not sprinting back like 100 miles an hour, to come and chase down your fullback who's running the other way, you're getting screamed at by the rest of your team. I don't see that from Messi. I think that's just because he's Messi, and so people know that he can produce that magic at the other side of the pitch.
I'd agree. He can probably get away with that kind of thing. We'll move on to another result in Champions League, one that kind of surprised me. Liverpool back to their best. Good result against Leipzig. And they've got to put all their eggs in this basket now. They've got to go for the Champions League because that's the best thing they can get out of this season now, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think Liverpool in the Champions League this season away from home have been unbelievable. Although it was a neutral venue, it's still, it's the same Leipzig team. They did have I think not that they had a couple of injuries, but they just had they made a couple of rotations to what their first team would normally be. And they just got punished by a couple of sloppy mistakes. And, as well, like earlier in the group stage, not a lot of teams can go to Atalanta away and win 5-0.
No, honestly, it seems to be a different team. Liverpool in the Premier League and Liverpool in the Champions League at the moment.
Definitely.
But if they could do something in the Champions League, it would salvage their season, and you could almost forget about how bad they've been in the Premier League recently. Because the Premier League, the title's gone, like I've said. The best thing they could do there is just try and finish in the top 4. But the Champions League, do they have a good chance of doing it?
I think it all goes down to the draw. I think who they kind of get in the quarterfinals, the semi, if they get through that, then to the semis. I think, the team everyone wants to avoid is Bayern Munich. I think they're just... But I will be honest, they're not the same Bayern Munich that were there last season. There've been a couple of defensive hiccups this season for Bayern. They've just not been exactly the same, I'd like to say. If you turn up on your day and Bayern have an off day, who knows what could happen. But I think kind of like... Obviously, last season when it was kind of like the little tournament that they did to finish it off, and it was just one game at a time. I think that really suited Bayern. But over 2 legs, it might do. I'm not too sure, but I think there's definitely a couple of other teams in contention. Obviously, City, you can't write off City, although they have got such a poor record in the Champions League knockout stages.
Which English team do you think has got the best chance this year? Do you think Man City?
I'm going to have to say City, but I think definitely keep tabs on Liverpool. And you know what? I think with Chelsea, it really, I think you kind of, if we get past Atletico, which will be such a tough game, if everyone's going to be able to predict exactly how that game's going to pan out. Chelsea will have all the ball, try and break Atletico down. Atletico on the counter-attack with Suarez, João Felix and a couple of other players. That will be a very dangerous game. And I think if Chelsea can get through that, I think a couple of teams should just kind of keep one eye over their shoulder. But like I said as well, PSG, watching them this season, how good have they been? I think they're... Under Pochettino, I still don't think they've played their best football. I just think they're warming up still. Because I don't think Poch has had enough time to really put his stamp on the team. And so I think, when Neymar's fully fit and Mbappe fully firing, they're going to be a really difficult team to stop.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It'd be interesting to see how the rest of those round of 16 games pan out. And then the the draw for the quarterfinals should be interesting as well. We'll finish on the Europa League. Obviously, that was last night. Good wins for United and Spurs.
Yeah, really good result for United. But I must say it's a really big problem with Spanish football at the moment. They're too, I wouldn't say naive defensively, but it's just like there just seems to be a problem where Spanish football teams, they're not willing to sit in and like defend at times. You know, it's like they're not adapting to the game around them. And I think, you know, you see it with the Barca game. You know, it's like Barca just kind of crumbled towards the end of the game. You know, at that time, you know, a good manager who adapts, you know, sit in, you know, even if you're 2-1 down, 3-1 down, say, all right, we're going to shut up shop a little bit and let's hope we can kind of maybe, if we get the first goal in the second leg, who knows? But no, exactly the same happened. Sociedad just kind of crumbled. They didn't have a lot going forward. The front three were a little bit dangerous inside the first half, but in the second half, they didn't really do anything. It was all United. And I think as well, like, another game that kind of demonstrated that in the past, it's just actually gone out of my head. So I can't remember the game I was going to speak about. But yeah, no, just, Spanish team's just very defensively fragile at the moment. So I really think, you know, possibly you could take Atletico out of that bracket because of the way that they play, you know, especially on the European stage. But yeah, no, definitely good win for United. Fernandes is an unbelievable footballer. You know, the stats don't lie, and you know, it's like, I think he's played nearly 60 games and he's got like over 60 goal involvements or something like that. Once again, ridiculous stats. But did you manage to catch any of the game?
I didn't. I need to watch the highlights back. But just looking at the results, it just tells a story, doesn't it? I mean, it kind of... I don't actually like it when you see a 4-0 or a 4-1 in the first leg, because you think there's not much point in the second leg.
Yeah, exactly.
But it does look like United and Spurs are going through, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know what, for this season, I've really got to say, I really do fancy an English team to go through, because, you know, you look around at some of the other teams, you know, you think possibly the closest challengers apart from the English teams would be Napoli. They went and lost 2-0 to Granada. So, you know, and I think Napoli traditionally in the Europa League, when they come down from the Champions League, they don't tend to do very well in it.
Right.
So no, I have got to say I really fancy an English team, but I think I don't fancy United if they come up against Spurs or Arsenal.
Okay, it'd be interesting. Is it the next round where an English team can draw an English team?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I think it is. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that anyone can play each other, like in the Champions League.
Because we've still got Leicester and Arsenal in the Europa League as well, haven't we?
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, obviously Leicester got a draw against Slavia Prague, but that's, you know, Slavia Prague are a difficult outfit. You know, they're a difficult team to beat, you know, and some of their players, you know, we've seen some of their players in the Premier League with Souček and Koufal from West Ham. And, you know, it's like they came to Stamford Bridge a few seasons ago in the Europa League when Chelsea went on to win it. And just a really, really difficult team. And I think sometimes, you know, a lot of these teams, you really can't write them off, because you know, a team like Olympiacos, they can just turn up on their day and they can beat anyone. You know,
it's funny, isn't it? A team like Olympiacos, they can seem to surprise a few teams and win. It's just the unpredictability of the European competitions, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And you know, I think if United can avoid either Spurs or Arsenal, you know, on the route to the final, I'd definitely fancy them. But if they do come up against them in the final, I'd probably turn the odds in their favour. I think Jose in this competition, if Jose gets Spurs to the final, I can only see one winner.
Yeah, it's interesting. Last question before we sign off. There's plenty of decent Premier League games over the weekend. Which one do you think is the best?
Oh, you know what? I think you're going to have to back the Merseyside derby. I think the only thing that bothers me with that game, I would back Everton to get a result, but it's just the fact that Liverpool won. It wasn't, as we said, it wasn't really away. It was a neutral venue, but there's that 2-0 win over Leipzig. You know, I know Leipzig made defensive mistakes for both goals, But, at the same time, it just gives them that boost. And I don't think Everton needed that as well, with Everton losing in midweek. But, there's some cracking games on. I think a game that really goes under the radar is Leicester-Aston Villa.
Yeah, that's the Midlands derby.
I think that's
good ones.
Yeah, definitely. Spurs West Ham this weekend as well. Look at the game that threw up last time, 3-3 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with Lanzini, that last minute goal, incredible. So I definitely think it'll be really interesting. And Arsenal at home to City as well. So
great games, honestly. Arsenal v City. Who knows? Could that be the one where City slip up? I don't know. They just look very good at the moment. But then you've got some relegation battles: Fulham v Sheffield United, Burnley versus West Brom. So it will be a pretty exciting weekend of football. But that will sign off today's podcast, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Cheers for joining me today, Leon.
No worries. Cheers for having me, Matt. I'll see you in another one.
Right. Take care, guys. Peace out.